globalism in terms of economics. There's your chapter on economics. The example I'm giving you is Blair. Right? I described Blair in more detail. Now, idealism, you haven't done this yet. You haven't done this chapter yet. Is that right? You haven't done this. You haven't done culture yet. All right, let me just go through it in a little detail here. Idealists explain social change in respect to changing beliefs and ideas in society. Right? Ontologically. Flavor. Right? Therefore, they would stress such aspects as the rise of global consciousness. And I've demonstrated to you, you're not really globalists. You don't really see the world as one, you just see a world. Interconnection. Globalism, seeing the world in one place. Global cultural theories which suggest that this is the most important thing. This is how we see the world in one place. It is not simply economic globalization. It's not simply economic globalization. There's more about this. So we need to talk about idealism in a bit. And this is what we're going to do. I want to introduce you to this guy. Now, this guy is in Waters, but I want to put flesh on him. This guy is about 6'6". He is now teaching in the University of Aberdeen. He's moved from the States. He's now teaching in the University of Aberdeen, surprisingly enough, about terrorism. There is a Centre for Terrorism in the University of Aberdeen. Now, Aberdeen is in north of Scotland. It's famous for oil. Surprise, surprise. Oil needs to be protected from terrorism, so no wonder the university is funded on this course. Right? Globalism. Right, now Roland Robinson is an idealist. He started life as a structural functionist at LSE. He then moved to the States. I was on the same panel with him in Mexico. Right, now, what does he say? Through globalization, a holistic consciousness emerges. In your own words, what does that mean, a holistic consciousness? Holistic? Through globalization, a holistic consciousness emerges. What is that? What? What? A common. It's more than common. It's seeing the world as a whole. Right? It is common, but it's seeing the world as a whole. What affects you will affect me. Right? But look how he's saying, what's the cause of it? Globalization. So gradually, we have a common, but it's not just common, you see the world as a whole. In that sense, it's common. All right? But it's more than that. It's stronger than that. It's stronger than common. You see the world. Now, this is important. National reference points give way to global reference points. Your reference point about why things happen, your morality is no longer national, it is global. The individual is linked to national society as a citizen, right? You are a member of Singapore, you're a citizen of Singapore. They're again linked to an international society through your state internationally, but you're also linked to the humanity in general. Humanity in general. Your survival depends on the survival of humanity, and vice versa. You see yourself as part of the global system. What happens in one country will affect you. So this idea of localism and globalism is absolutely central to his ideas. Now, I'm going to spend some time doing this because it's important. All right. This is very different from Slair. Slair explains globalization in terms of production. Waters explains it in terms of global consciousness. Let's look at the first one. We define, meaning people define, political issues in terms of the world order. Now, what does that mean? We define political issues in terms of the world order. So let me give you an example. The bombing of an embassy in Czechoslovakia, or the bombing of the embassies in Chechnya. Why is it of that interest to us? Why is it interesting that Ariel Sharon is dying? Why is it of interest when we're thinking that the President of South Africa? Nelson Mandela. So you say, Nelson Mandela. Why is that of significance to us? Why? take Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela dies. What are people worried about? Government. They're worried about what might happen in South Africa. Why is that of interest to us? What happened? What? What are the people? All right, it's the people, but it's more important than that. The balance of power in Africa is going to be disturbed. Particular places like Sudan and also Syria, which has an effect on Iran, which has an effect on Israel, which has an effect on you. Right? So we understand ourselves in terms of, again, not just military in terms of us. Now, of course, in terms of its institutions, we have the United Nations. We have the United Nations Army, don't we, effectively? Yeah? Not very effective in most places, but they're there with their blue hats. But again, we see the things about military political issues in terms of the world order. What happens in one country will affect us. So what do? We demand our states to take action. So we see the world globally. What affects them will affect us. So we define it. So our ideas are important. We explain economic issues globally, i.e. world recession, the world financial crisis. We explain it in terms of global financial crisis. We talk about conflation, the domino effect. Remember, we weren't because you're still too young, in 1997, first of all Thailand collapsed, then Malaysia collapsed, then Singapore collapsed. Was it wonderful place time to buy things in Singapore then? Fantastic. Conflation. Again, what happened in the States? Mortgage default. World collapse. We define it in terms of the world now. But this is not just, it is doing it, the world people define it, so they act accordingly. If people believe things are real, they will act accordingly. Brands, again, are marketed globally. And global images are used to demonstrate trust in that brand. Even though the brand is dreadful. Kentucky Fried Chicken. McDonald's. Do you know we had a minister who actually wanted to demonstrate that beef was good, and he was pictured giving his daughter a McDonald's hamburger to say it's safe to eat beef. That's when mad cow disease happened. To demonstrate trust in product, citizenship issues, human rights. Now this is extremely important, and this is affecting Singapore in a very big way. The issue about the death penalty in many countries is now defined in terms of human rights, not in terms of individual rights, not in terms of state rights. Right to life, liberty is now on a global scale. Right? Now, I'm not arguing whether things are good or not. We start defining themselves. Environmental issues, saving the planet. So do you feel guilty when you get rid of a plastic bottle? I hope you do. You're polluting the earth. Well done, that person with the green bottle. Congratulations. You're not polluting the earth. You're not polluting the earth. Excuse me. This is unbelievably bad. Don't you feel the poor little person in Syria will be affected by you drinking this? Well, it's not. It's got awful stuff inside it. It's got a plastic top. It's all got printing in. Come on. The person is going to, again, I need to say that. SIM is not printing your notes anymore, yeah? Definitely, right? Because we're saving the planet. Right, again, we're not defining ourselves. So the rise of global consciousness, globalism, we're seeing the world as one place. That's very important. All right. Now, I think I'm going to stop there because I think what I came to do today is to just introduce you to these ideas. But I want to just, on this last one, don't go yet. The word technology is absolutely vital. If you see the word, the main driver of globalization is technology. Sorry. The main driver. What is the concept of driver here? driver. It's a metaphor, isn't it? Driver. The main driver of globalization is technology. Pushing, well done. Pushing for globalization is technology. Discuss. Who would you use? What theorists would you use to say the main driver of globalization is technology? Sclair, up to a point, because he's a Marxist, and therefore you've got, so remember, Marxists say the forces of production. So you'd use Sclair. Who else would you use? Castells. And also, how on earth can you have ideas transferred without technology? Yeah? Now, to answer this question, what is the main driver? The other one is the process of driving. The process of driving is you use technology to drive ideas. Without that, you can't. So I wanted to give you some warnings. And the warnings are, please be very careful about your concepts. The concept of globalization. I've reinforced, I hope, the idea of materialism and idealism and linked them to theorists. We've spent some time talking about Leslie Sclair, who is the most difficult person that you'll be studying, right? He's not easy, so I tried to unpin some of these ideas, particularly the idea of class. What is a class? We talked about the difference between international and transnational. We talked about the way that we're talking about the state in that sense, and in my tutorials I'm going to spend more time doing that. I've warned you about technology. Now, I hope now that will give you some little concepts to deal with this question when you're coming to the rest. I can't do it all because I don't want to impose more knowledge on you. So again, please could you read up a little bit about what I talked about, and for the tutorials we're going to spend some time talking about the nation state. And there'll be more chance to interact there. But thank you very much for concentrating. Well done, thank you.